So let's begin. On behalf of all of you, I have great pleasure in welcoming from India Energy Forum and also from other participants, a great personality, Mr. B.K. Chaturvedi. I talked to him a few days back and he was forthcoming spontaneously that he would definitely like to meet the power and other energy people and share his thoughts on the issue of energy in general and power in particular. Because this is a special session that we organized to mark 25 years of India Energy Forum. Sir, India, as you already know, India Energy Forum is a truly independent think tank. So whenever I have to explain, not to you, but you, because you know it, to others, then I tell them what it is not, actually. It is not CII, it is not Association of Power Producers, it is not Association of Renewables. It is a totally independent think tank, and we take pleasure in having all the eminent personalities, professionals, bureaucrats, policymakers in this group who have been holding in their time very important position even now and contributing to the growth of energy sector, particularly power sector, coal sector. We have these verticals here. We have power vertical in general, we have renewable vertical, we have transmission distribution vertical, we have regulation vertical, we have coal group, we have petroleum and natural gas group, and we have a group on research and development. So all these groups which constitute toward the growth of energy sector in general. Mr. B.K. Chaturvedi, most of you would be knowing that he is multi-sectoral, but particularly in power. When I first knew him, when he was Energy Secretary in Uttar Pradesh, and at that time I was Director of Operation, and with UP as usual, we used to have always some issues. In those days, now the issues are well settled, but those were the initial days where NTPC way of working, board way of working, they were in the transition, like energy is in transition today in management, so those days were the different days. And even for us in NTPC, some people used to say that when they first went to, earlier than your term, to do the power purchase agreement, then the then chairman of UP State Electricity Board, what power purchase agreement? You are a government company, we are a government company. Just one page you write, you will produce and we will give you. So, power purchase agreement consisting of 100 pages then. Of course, when Enron came, Enron made it 1,000 pages. So that is the evolution of commercial working of the electricity sector. And that is the time I knew him first, and since then I knew him when I joined in the ministry. We had his good support and guidance on petroleum sector, and the first target was, the first challenge for us was petroleum sector wanted, he had his heart with power as well as with petroleum sector. Increase the gas price, and of course his heart with power also thought that it wouldn't be too much, that we should increase the price. And after that I had a good luck of having him as the cabinet secretary, and his guidance was available till the time I was there for 5 years in the ministry, and then his guidance on various policies. And we had a very tough planning commission. He also knew planning commission is tough. So therefore, with his guidance, most of the issues that we wish to formulate, we could. There is nothing that we wanted to formulate in one way or the other, we could not do it. And it was his direct intervention in Committee of Secretaries and otherwise with the PMO, and we had him. So, sir, today we have, this institution has done 25 years. And in these 25 years, we try to generate discussions, thoughts, also write to various authorities and ministries in the government, also try to do advocacy in favor of government wherever it is needed. Not too much against the government because we want things to happen, but definitely if a thing has to be stated, it is stated. Our recent contribution in a significant way has been on the nuclear side because for the last 4 years we started discussing why nuclear is in the margin, why it is 2% or less than 2%. And therefore, number of webinars, number of discussions. Fortunately, we had all the Department of Atomic Energy secretaries in at least 3, 4 such non-virtual programs and also on virtual programs. And finally, we have a legislation. Only a few days back, we had a very extensive discussion on from legislation to action, how we move. And significant amount of suggestions came. That act is okay, but unless we translate into actions, and otherwise we wait for another few years and then we continue to remain in the margin in the nuclear sector. So today's session, is special session, we have focused and we are focusing on distribution, financial sustainability of distribution sector. Financial sustainability of distribution sector also has been a subject always. Shortage of power used to be a subject for decades. Today, shortage of power is not a subject. Shortage of power used to be the election agenda of most of the governments. Today, it is not the election agenda. So somehow we have gone beyond that. I'm not saying that we have fully completed our assignments in the availability or reliability of power supply, but at least today is not the issue where shortage becomes an agenda for election. But distribution sector, how we manage, has remained on the agenda, for decades. It continues to be on the agenda now. And now it is more. Distribution sector, when we talk, they say, you are doing renewables. For doing renewables, we are building additional transmission lines. We are building additional transmission lines, so we are paying for that. So our transmission cost is increasing. We are paying through PPA the coal-based power station, but we are not using fully their power. So that is another area that if we wanted to use it up to 80% of their load factor, our cost will be one. We are paying for the full fixed cost, and we are also paying for this. So one problem we solve of climate change, try to solve climate change, and it is there where some degree of moderation is required. At least my entry into energy sector is almost 50 years. I have always been seeing that something new, something against thermal power became the agenda of youngsters, not so young people, of various organizations. So coal was on the problem all the time. Coal got into problem because of coal block getting cancelled by Supreme Court. Some follow-up actions were done. Then it got into problem that so much of solar we are doing, why we should do coal. And in a few years' time, we then recognized that perhaps what we were thinking, why should we do coal? Unless we do coal, even solar will be a problem because you have no solution of solar power in evenings. So we have battery backup that is being discussed. So a whole range of, we solve the problem, I will not say fully solve, but mainly solve the problem of just availability of power. But we have got into serious challenges on managing the energy as a whole. Looking at energy as a whole, I think one of the sessions we had was only on petroleum sector. The more we want to solve petroleum sector, the more we are getting into problem. Honorable Prime Minister, when he took over, he said 76% import, we should bring it down by 10 percentage point to 66%. It has gone to beyond 88%, 88.56%. And unfortunately, somehow, crude has become the subject of geopolitics. So therefore, if you import 88% plus, and then you also have the problem of political dynamics, diplomatic dimension, then problem is not only availability of this crude anywhere in the world. Problem is you have to have a challenging diplomatic assignment of where to access, where not to access. So this has become another major issue. At this stage, I wrote an article recently. At this stage, within the energy group, the biggest challenge is the how do we manage our petroleum sector. Some of the solutions that we have started in the country is convert electric petroleum diesel to electric vehicles. Railways has gone in from diesel to electric locomotive in a big way. So these solutions are coming. It is challenging, but it is very interesting. Professionally, it is very interesting for all of us. Distribution sector, I don't think, at least we have solutions there, because the more we suggest and we are on the point of action, then we take a reverse gear, and that reverse gear remains in reverse gear for some time. Alok was Principal Secretary Energy, and I was on a personal visit to Lucknow, having a cup of tea. Next morning, very major initiative was to be notified, and then he said, next morning we talked to him. He said, no, we have reversed this. We are not going to go ahead of this. Again, last 1 year, 2 years, they have worked on this, something we should do. See, it must not be mistaken that distribution reform is privatization. Question is something we should do. Privatization is also a solution, maybe partially, but it is not the total solution. So I think that is the problem, that we need to burden distribution, and at the same time, even present burden is not sustainable. So how additional burden will be sustainable? That is an issue, and that is unavoidable. That is unavoidable. We also have to do climate change. We also have to do cheaper solar power, but at the same time, we cannot avoid building more transmission. So that will mean burdening our. So these are the bigger challenges on distribution, and we are so. This is where I thought that it is time that we should have some thought. We have today invited Ajay Shankar, all your team.
Yeah.
We have Anil Razdan, all people who know ins and outs, Alok Kumar. They also, all of them were in my team sometime, and all of them were in your team anyway, including me. So I think that is the subject. So I will invite with that, I will, who is Anil. Anil, you should say a few.
The right-hand man always, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So we heard speeches, we heard comments, we heard the very wise observations by our distinguished chief guest, and you were quite comprehensive to the point of also raising a reasonable doubt. I also have the doubt. The 68,000 crore of annual loss, 7 lakh or 8 lakh crore of cumulative loss. Suddenly, how after 1 year it turns into profit?
Alok, would you say anything on that?
Yeah. No, there are questions have been raised.
I will say improvements have happened, but they have not turned around because a lot of loss have been taken over by state governments.
Exactly. On one of the WhatsApp group, that comment came that we are doubting. I wrote a comment. Power Ministry has to ensure discoms become viable. Power Ministry ensures discom do not become viable by asking PFC, REC, etc. successively to fund their problems. I wrote this thing. That's true.
Yeah.
The question is, even in today's discussion, I think we have good perspectives. See, unfortunately, discom sector has been victim of this, victim of our not so balanced counsel to the authorities. Because each time it has to be very candidly conveyed to the political system that this will not work. Each time we present an argument which deters any action that is to be taken. That is the problem. We raise a hope. Uday one scheme was being made. I was on the task force with Suresh Prabhu there, and Piyush Goyal was the minister. Uday came with funding to Rajasthan to others on a hope that in 4 years' time it will see. I said, what if it doesn't happen? Uday 1 did not deliver. Uday 2 did not deliver. RBI has commented, Uday 1, Uday 2, this scheme, that scheme, that scheme. None of this scheme has delivered. We have been hoping against hope. This present structure will not work. One point all of us are missing. And when I was writing on how do we increase the demand on manufacturing, we find that one of the reasons is land, and most important reason is industry tariff. Industry tariff is 12 rupees, 13 rupees, 14 rupees. So so-called profit calculation, Alok, that you are now making, it is turning around. This is okay. I mean, that group that you are representing. The question is, in that, everything that has gone is this totally unbalanced structure of subsidy. And this is against the principle laid down in the tariff policy with which you were associated. We said that in a 5 years' time, tariff should be in the band of 20% plus minus. I gave example. Not implemented. Power Ministry failed to direct anybody and everybody. Question is, we have been Power Ministry at the top, all of us, different state governments. See, question is, if ownership of the government continues for the entire thing, we cannot hope that they will not interfere at a state level. It's as simple as that. Because they are under political pressure. They are not sort of pressurizing somebody who is selling vegetable, pressurizing somebody who is selling textile, pressurizing somebody who is selling something else. They all, or mobile, or people are prepared to pay for everything at the market rate except for power. Because vulnerability of political system is that if this is owned by you, why can't you do this? If it is owned by you, it is yours, so why can't you do this? So long as it doesn't belong to them, nobody can expect. So we have to attack at the right point. Another issue, I made when you were power secretary, I made that point or otherwise. See, the industry tariff or industry sort of cross-subsidizing is absolutely unjustified, and it was meant to be only for a transition period. Because industry, larger industry are fed by 132 kV. And 132 kV, these people have to do nothing. So neither they are generator, nor they are distributor. Yet cross-subsidy was provided as a stopgap arrangement. A stopgap arrangement has continued for now 20 plus years. You know that. That has not. So if you remove all those things, then the losses will be even huge. There is absolutely no justification for industry taking power from generator on a transmission system which is done by transmission company, paid separately, with distribution company doing no consumer services absolutely, except raising the bill. And that continues. So I think you can continue with advocate the distribution company, but these are some of the hard facts. I am raising the hard facts against ministry which I was there. So raise some hard facts that this is not the way I think we can continue. India's population is highly docile. I am from Bihar. 95% people houses didn't have electricity when I was power secretary. Still they were surviving.
आपका तो profit में आ गया था.
we can continue like this. We can go. We are now 1/5 of China. In 10, 15 years, we will become 1/10 of China. So still there is no problem. But the question is, we the people who participate not directly politically, participate in some professional discussion. We must make our contribution and candid observation that this is not on. This is not on. Not any undivided. Lastly, I have made this point somewhere. When these distribution state electricity boards were made, they were given the license for the entire country or entire state, where they did not have a line, they did not have a substation, nothing. You see, entire. Today, coal is being given license for an area. So by virtue of that, they are licensee for area where they never existed. At least now I have used the phrase, don't privatize, open up. Open up. You were having only 70,000 megawatt of consumption when I joined the ministry, more or less than 70,000. Your total capacity was about 97,000. Today, 270,000 peak load has happened. They are all new areas. The towns which never existed are towns now. Industrial estates which never existed are industrial estates now. They should not have been the licensee of those areas. And I have used the phrase jamindar. They were deemed to be jamindars of that area, those areas. When they were formed, they never existed in those areas, not with a substation, not with a line, not with a station. So I think we have to really do a hard thought. I think we will continue going down and down as compared to only reference point can be China. If we continue to defend the position, don't use the word privatize, at least now privatize the distribution company. Use the word open up distribution. I give the example that when we brought power sector reform, we did not privatize NTPC. Okay. When we opened up transmission, your friend, our friend was against it, RPC. We didn't privatize transmission. We opened up. And now you see transmission is opening up.
So system operator we had to put there.
Exactly. So you open it up, at least new areas, new things, people can go on and on, that's it. Make a minor interpretation of what this license is, a geography or license is their existence. The entire country cannot be anybody's licensed area. It was deemed to be like that. So let this civil company, second, don't link anything on 132 kV supply to them. They do no business. So 132 kV, whoever is doing industry, why should they have to pay the subsidy? Why should they pay the? You will see that unless we reduce our industry tariff, forget about you are competing with anybody in the world. So थोड़ा सा Alok, you will have to slightly.
मैं तो आपने का वही कहा.
हाँ.
Anyway, I'll talk to you. नहीं, मैं तो I never